Now we go to questions addressed to the Honourable Prime Minister, PMQT. PQ 834 has been withdrawn. We have been advised. Honourable First Member for La Caverne and Phoenix.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. PQB 814, please.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that on the 29th of August 2025, Mrs. KDJH, officer in charge of the Mauritius Investment Company, made a declaration at the Central CID regarding an article on school.mu. That was on the 29th of August. On the 11th of September of the same year, that is this year, another declaration was lodged by one Mr. T.S., CEO of Elysium Capital, concerning posts against him on the same platform. Both cases were formally recorded for breach of the Information and Communications Technologies Act. I'm further informed by the police that they attempted to obtain the statement of Mr. N.J., the alleged author of these posts, by calling him over the phone several times, but I'm informed that he was unreachable. As per the established practice, a case conference was held at the level of the Central CID, comprising of senior-most officers, where it was decided to make an application for a search warrant under the breach of Section 46(1)(ga) of the Information and Communication Technologies Act at the QPIP District Court. The Commissioner of Police was not informed of the decision taken by the police officers. On the 12th of September 2025, on the basis of the search warrant, 4 Central CID officers in 1 police vehicle proceeded to the residence of Mr. N.J. There was also another vehicle of the Divisional Crime Intelligence Unit on the spot. I am informed that Mr. N.J. was told of the purpose of the visit of the police. He was requested to hand over his communication and IT equipment. I am informed that Mr. N.J. grew vexed and threw his 2 mobile phones on the floor. Subsequently, electronic equipment, including the 2 mobile phones suspected to have been used in the commission of the alleged offences, was secured for examination. Mr. N.J. voluntarily accompanied police officers at the cybercrime unit, and he admitted being the author of the post. I'm informed by the police that he was informed of his constitutional rights, including the right to silence and to legal representation, which I'm told he exercised. I'm also informed that he was provided with communication facilities to contact his lawyer at the Central CID. After examination of the 2 mobile phones, they were handed over to Mr. N.J. and he was later allowed to go after the inquiry. Investigation in both cases are ongoing. Madam Speaker, ever since the beginning of the mandate of this government, I made it clear on numerous occasions that both in this House and during my address to the nation on the 1st of January of this year, that I consider respect for human rights and the application of Section 5.1 and Section 5.2 of the Constitution as the bedrock of any civilized society. Under no circumstances will the government allow any violation of human rights as we saw under the previous regime. My government will always uphold the sanctity of human rights and dignity of all our citizens. Therefore, I ask the Commissioner of Police to carry out an inquiry into the action taken by the police officers. Upon the outcome of the inquiry, appropriate disciplinary actions will be taken. However, pending the outcome of the internal inquiry, 6 police officers have already been transferred to other divisions so as not to jeopardize the exercise.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Yes, Mr. Lobine.
Yes, thank you. May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister, with regard to the use of Section 46 of the ICT Act, will government consider bringing amendments to this particular legislation with a view of it being in conjunction with Section 5 of our Constitution? Because there are being an abuse of provisional charges and cases lodged under this particular section, this particular in-favour section of the ICT Act. Will government consider amending this act?
As we had said when we presented the government program, for example, the provisional charges will go. It's being worked out by the Attorney General at the moment. We will look at all aspects of all what you've just mentioned.
Yes, Leader of the Opposition. Is that
Thank you,
all right?
Madam Speaker.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister again is confirming that the Commissioner of Police was not made aware of the arrest of that journalist. Did he inquire from the Commissioner of Police why he made the statement "Nun faire ce qui bizarre faire"? What does that mean?
In fact, I did, and he said he was referring to the fact that the mobile phones were thrown and they were then taken away with the electronic document. In that sense, he was saying what had to be done had to be done.
Yes, yes, Mr. Bichu.
Merci Madame la Présidente. Monsieur le Premier ministre, récemment, il y a eu un jugement de la Cour concernant la protection des sources des journalistes. Est-ce que le Premier ministre peut nous assurer que dorénavant, s'il y a des cas où les journalistes sont concernés, au moins qu'il y ait une protection des sources des journalistes et que leurs outils de travail ne soient pas saisis?
I think that is the case, but when there were allegations, they had to check whether it was done or not done.
All right, yes. Next question, Mr. Honourable First Member for Savan.
Thank you.
Mr. Babajee, yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B815.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed that following the passage and damage caused by tropical cyclone Belal in January 2024, the then Ministry of Local Government and the Disaster Risk Management had approached the then Attorney General's office for one of his officers, assisted by technical advisor at the Mauritius Meteorological Services, to prepare an independent report on whether the then director of the Mauritius Meteorological Services had failed to advise the National Crisis Committee on the proper trajectory of the cyclone. The report, prepared by an Assistant Solicitor General and a technical advisor at the Mauritius Meteorological Services, was submitted to the then Ministry of Local Government and Disaster Risk Management on the 20th of June 2024. Therein it was concluded that there had been clear indications that tropical cyclone Belal was dangerously approaching Mauritius over the period of time spanning from 14th of January 2024 at 0400 hours to the 15th of January 2024 at 22.00 hours, and that the then director had failed to advise the National Crisis Committee on the proper trajectory of tropical cyclone Belal. Madam Speaker, I must state that the government is not satisfied with the findings of the so-called independent report on the basis of which Dr. Audi was made to retire in the interest of the public service as per PSC Regulations 2039. He subsequently entered a court case to contest that decision, but was encouraged to withdraw the case, and he did so on the 6th of October 2025. In fact, it appears that Dr. Audi would have been made a scapegoat to cover the previous government's blunder. After a thorough assessment of the report, some very disturbing facts have emerged as to the information to the public about impending torrential rains that had been issued, which had appeared on the government portal on the eve of the dramatic events of the 15th of January 2024. The communique was subsequently deleted for unknown reasons. There are also indications that the former Prime Minister already had planned socio-cultural events to attend in the afternoon of the 15th of January 2024, and that there could very well be a linkage between the occurrences that I mentioned. Madam Speaker, in the light of the above, further investigation will be conducted to establish the sequence of events and whether there was a deliberate deletion of the flood warnings. Necessary action will be taken accordingly to ensure that natural justice prevails.
Thank you. Yes, all right. Yes, Mr. Ramdass.
PQB 816, please.
Madam Speaker, with your permission, I will reply to parliamentary question B816 and B836 together as they are connected. As enunciated in the government program of 2025-2029, the government's foremost mission is to revitalize democratic principles, reinforce good governance, and pursue constitutional reforms designed to enhance public confidence in the autonomy of state institutions. In this endeavor, my government is committed to set up a constitutional review commission mandated to propose wide-range constitutional, electoral, and governance reforms, which will include, but will not be limited to, the revision of our electoral system to better reflect the will of the people, bolstering fundamental rights by introducing new generation rights relating to the environment, technology, health education, and socio-economic issues, as well as the rights of nature. And third, the introduction of a comprehensive legislation on political party funding to ensure transparency and fair elections. Madam Speaker, as constitutional review is a very complex and sensitive matter, which requires experts with constitutional acumen and understanding of the specific Mauritian paradigm. In this context, the Attorney General is working on the setting up of the Commission and will submit proposals shortly. This inclusion of the rights of nature in the Constitution will therefore be looked into by the Constitutional Review Commission in a holistic manner together with constitutional amendments.
Yes?
Madam
Yes.
Speaker, may we have an indication as to the composition of the Commission, if that has been decided already?
As far as I know, the Attorney General is looking into the composition. We would like to have people who know Constitution, but also, as far as possible, local people.
Yes, Mr. Anu, one moment. Mr. Anu, your question was answered, right? It seems to me. Do you want a supplementary question? No. Yes, Mr. Lobine, yes?
May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister, with regard to the time frame as to when this commission will be set up?
It will be set up as soon as possible because we want to look at all these aspects, including electoral reform. We want to proceed with electoral reform early, not at the end of the mandate. So this will be starting very soon.
Okay. Right, now I will call Honourable Third Member for Grand Bay, Poudre-d'Or, Mr. Etwareea.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Ma question 817, s'il vous plaît.
Madam Speaker, the Honourable Member states in his question, in July of 2025, the IMF raised its growth projections for the world economy from 2.8% to 3% for 2025 and from 3% to 3.1% for 2026. The IMF will release its updated forecast, I believe, next Tuesday. As for the Mauritian economy, the IMF had in April of 2025 projected a real GDP growth rate of 3% for both 2025 and 2026. Following the Article 4 consultations, the IMF has, in its staff report released in June of this year, maintained the growth forecast for Mauritius for 2025 at 3%, but upgraded the forecast for 2026 from 3% to 3.4%. Madam Speaker, according to figures released recently by Statistics Mauritius, the real GDP growth for Mauritius for 2025 is expected to be slightly higher, that is 3.1%. This growth is being driven mainly by the financial services sector and the tourism sector. In fact, we are expecting some 1,425,000 tourist arrivals this year, the first time that we will exceed the pre-pandemic level. Madam Speaker, as I have announced in the budget speech, we are doing away with the inherited consumption-driven approach and adopting a new economic model that will be investment-led, productivity-based, and export-driven. This implies a fundamental restructuring of our economy that will be achieved over time. We are expecting a significant improvement in the output for the Mauritian economy, particularly for 2026 and beyond. This is mainly due to the following factors. First, we are further diversifying the economy with the development of 4 key, what we call pôles de croissance, namely the renewable energy sector, waste to wealth initiatives, the blue economy, and the creative industries. Second, we're in the process of finalizing different incentive schemes announced in the budget speech. These will give a significant boost to investment in various sectors of the economy. Third, we are unlocking some 30 billion rupees of investment in the renewable energy sector over the next 3 years. Fourth, we are reviewing the role and functions of the Economic Development Board so that it focuses on boosting productive investments and export promotion across all sectors of the economy. Fifth, the Ministry of Finance is currently working with different ministries and institutions, including the National Productivity and Competitiveness Council, to give a boost to productivity growth across the sectors, all sectors of the economy. And sixth, the renewal of AGOA for 1 year following our intense diplomatic efforts and negotiations provide a degree of certainty for our exporters to the US market. Madam Speaker, we are also harnessing the investment and export opportunities from our trade agreements such as the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation and Partnership Agreement with India, and the Free Trade Agreement with China. Furthermore, with the assistance from India under the Special Economic Package that we just received to the tune of $600 billion US, which was secured, as I said, during my recent visit, we will implement a number of priority projects in strategic sectors such as port development, road infrastructure, healthcare, and energy. As with regard to inflation, the Bank of Mauritius is projecting an inflation rate of around 4% in 2025, which remains firmly anchored around the bank's target range, which is 2 to 5%. Latest information from Statistics Mauritius indicates that inflation will remain below 4%. Indeed, the CPI index has decreased by 0.1 and 0.2 points in August and September, respectively. Madam Speaker, we have taken a number of measures to curb inflationary pressures and protect the purchasing power of the population. These include: one, raising the policy rate by 50 basis points to 4.5% per annum in February of this year. Secondly, by increasing the supply of forex in the domestic foreign exchange market to prevent a rapid depreciation of the rupee. Third, removal of VAT on a number of basic necessities as announced in the budget speech. And fourth, the establishment of a price stabilization fund of 10 billion rupees, out of which we are already providing subsidies on 5 essential commodities. We are working on a second set of essential commodities. Madam Speaker, as the responsible government, we are closely monitoring developments both domestically and on the international front. We will take appropriate measures in order to achieve our objective of a real GDP growth path of 4 to 5% by the end of our mandate, while keeping inflation within the target range set by the Bank of Mauritius.
Yes. Yes.
Next question.
Yes. Yes, supplementary.
May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether he will agree that inflation rate of 4% as predicted will be exceeded because of the recent increases in the prices of commodities, and also because the VAT that is being imposed on SMEs. We have seen recently the prices of dolpuri. If I may use that sentence again, dolpuri monte au galba, Madam Speaker. Okay?
In fact, the leader, as I said, he has a short memory. Do you remember what inflation was when you were in government? This is we're clearing the mess that you left. At one point, it was nearly 10%. Now we're bringing it. And if you had listened, we are saying 4%, but the indication, or it might be lesser, it's slightly lesser than 4%.
Yes, Honourable First Member for Lakawen Phoenix.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. PQB 818, please.
Madam Speaker, the National Human Rights Commission has already, as I'm sure the Honourable Member knows, submitted this report on the incidents which occurred at the Eastern High Security Prison at Melrose on 17th of July 2025. Regard to Part A of the question, I have to inform the House that government has taken cognizance of the contents of the report, which has been made public for the first time. If you remember, the previous government, all reports were being hidden in drawers. In line with our policy of transparency and accountability, I will table a copy of the report. Madam Speaker, I'm concerned by the disturbing facts that came out of the report. As I've just stated in the House, I consider that human rights, respect for human rights, and the application of Section 5.1 and Section 5.2 of the Constitution are the bedrock of any civilized society. My government will always uphold the sanctity of human rights and dignity for all our citizens. Any trespass will not be tolerated by the government. In regard to Part B of the question, the Commissioner of Police and the Commissioner of Prisons have been requested to take immediate actions, not only for the implementation of the measures recommended, but also the necessary disciplinary actions against the officers concerned, but after consultation with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution.
Yes, no, yes. Dr. Umir, yes?
May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether he would request the Commissioner of Police and the Commissioner of Prisons to consider the use of full body cam by all prison officers who work at such a high security prison so that the truthful events always come to light.
It's a very good suggestion, and I will certainly, we are in fact looking at this, but this will probably happen at some stage. I must also tell you that I had said at the time that don't come and tell me some cameras were not working. If that happens, everybody will be sacked. Fortunately, all cameras were working.
All right. Yes, go ahead.
Madam Speaker,
Question, please.
Yeah, I appreciate that the report has been made public, Madam Speaker, because that was a very, let's say,
Let him speak, please.
you can't be interrupted, Madam Speaker, when I'm putting my question.
I'm
You have to
trying.
put question.
Carry on.
I said that I
Carry on.
appreciate that the report has been made public, but when I compare, Madam Speaker, reply to the PNQ that I put to the Prime Minister on the 22nd of July on the same issue, with the report that has been made public, I note a certain number of discrepancies between the two, the report and the answers that the Prime Minister
Put
gave
your
to
question.
the House. Maybe he must have been provided by false information on that day.
What discrepancies?
My question is direct.
Discrepancies. You can't just say the
May I
discrepancies
ask
and you don't say
the
what.
Honourable Prime Minister whether he will sack the Commissioner of Prisons?
That is his, this is his question.
Yeah, what can I say? He doesn't say what this woman say, but he must realize.
This is what the population is asking.
But please listen, realize, unlike you, when you ask the question, I answered the question. I could have said there's going to be an inquiry, but I gave you whatever I had. After the inquiry, as I said, very disturbing facts came. After the inquiry, how can I know before? But how do you expect me to know before the inquiry?
On the basis of the report?
Of the report, yes. That's why I just said. This is why we are publishing. We have published it. We are laying it on the table of assembly. We're not hiding, unlike you, when you were in government, hiding all these reports. We didn't do that.
Madam Speaker, may I ask the Honourable Prime Minister, I am glad that he did publish the report. That is commendable. However, the Commissioner of Prison, soon after the incident, had reacted saying that he's proud of his officers and he's proud of them, the way they acted, and that he would take full responsibility. Is the Prime Minister satisfied of the stand taken by the Commissioner of Prison soon after those incidents? And has he had any discussion with the Commissioner of Prison with regards to that?
But as I said, Madam Speaker, I've asked them to do Now, with the report out, we have to have full investigation, and also you must contact the DPP. It's not for me to say that, it's for the DPP to decide what action has to be taken.
All right, next question. Next question, Ms. Honourable Third Member for Rivière des Anguilles.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B819.
Madam Speaker, with regard to Part A of the question, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that since January 2022 up to the 2nd of October 2025, a total of 237 cases related to rage incidents and violent aggressive behavior on the roads have been reported to the police, involving 394 drivers. Out of these, 200 drivers were classified as victims, representing 51%, while 194 drivers were classified as perpetrators, representing 49%. I'm further informed that in a number of cases, multiple drivers were involved in the same incident, with one or more drivers recorded as victims and one or more as perpetrators, which explains, in fact, the discrepancy between the total number of reported cases and the number of drivers concerned. In regards to Part B of the question, I wish to inform the House that government, in collaboration with the police, has strengthened measures to protect road users and combat such dangerous behavior. These include the reintroduction of the new penalty points in January 2026, with severe sanctions against reckless and anti-social practices as well as illegal races. Secondly, to enhance patrol presence, police officers, including riders, are now daily deployed on strategic locations to regulate traffic near schools, bus terminals, light rail stations, and commercial centers. Thirdly, an awareness campaign in schools, shopping malls, and public transport, also at the light rail stations, is being carried out. Fourthly, optimal use of the Safe City surveillance system for swift intervention is being done. And finally, targeted crackdown operations near nightclubs and entertainment venues with particular focus on drink and drive offences. Madam Speaker, let me assure the House that government remains fully committed to ensuring the safety of all road users and maintaining order on our roads.
Yes, yes. Okay. The second member for Rivière des Anguilles. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, of course. One moment, Mr. Jamal.
May I ask the Prime Minister, with regards to the use of unlawful weapons, illicit, des armes, couteaux, etc., does the Prime Minister propose to urgently ensure that there are stops and searches being effected, roadblocks, like it used to be by the SMF, by the SSU, regularly, especially in areas that are well known to be hotspots?
I understand that this is being done, but we don't want to give too much publicity. You know, it's a country that are terrorists. We don't want to give this impression that it is a police state, but it is being done.
All right. Mr. Jaman, please.
Question 820, please.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Bank of Mauritius that in respect of loans provided by financial institutions, the fees, charges, and security requirements are determined by these institutions themselves in line with the internal policies and risk assessment. However, by virtue of Section 6 of the Bank of Mauritius Act 2004, the Bank of Mauritius has the power to regulate the fees and charges in respect of services provided by these financial institutions and impose such limitation on the quantum of those fees and charges as it may deem appropriate. In this context, the Bank of Mauritius constantly monitors the fees and charges that these financial institutions are imposing. In fact, in accordance with Section 57 of the Banking Act 2004, these financial services should at all times display in a conspicuous place in the public part of the principal place of business, and in each of the branches or offices, the rates of fees or charges being imposed. In addition, with a view to enhancing transparency and enabling the public to make an informed choice, financial institutions are required to upload information on their fees and charges on both their websites and on the website of the Bank of Mauritius. Furthermore, these financial institutions are required to inform the Bank of Mauritius whenever they change their fees and their charges. Madam Speaker, the Bank of Mauritius thus examines any change in the fees and charges and may query them on the reasons for such increases, and if need be, to intervene in the safeguard the interests of customers and the public in general. But as I said at the beginning, these are determined by the financial institutions themselves, and it depends on their internal policies and the risk assessment.
Thank you. Time is up for the moment. No, time is up.